morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good 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 morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Because I'm going to have a conversation with the other side, and that's where I'm at. And I'm going to show up and talk to anyone that invites me to be here, because we really need each other. And I want to have, and one other thing I refuse to do as a Democrat, I'm not going to call you a fascist or a Nazi. I'm not going to compare anyone to like Hitler or anything. That's wrong. And if you resort to that thing, you've lost the plot. It's like, because if you call him a fascist, then you have to think, well, maybe the people that vote for him, and I know people that love for him, is a fascist. That's just not true. And I know people that voted for the other side, and they're not trying to destroy our Constitution.
Well, the guy up there in Maine, he's got a Nazi tattoo.
No, that's going to be up to the Democrats in Maine. You know, for me, like, I'm proud to represent Pennsylvania, and I think that's the state in this country that truly reflects our nation, and how that keeps you accountable and that keeps you honest, and that's why why anybody would want to be in a bubble online or living in a bubble. Because I'm going to.
A lot of people keep saying, we need him to join the Republican Party. And I'm like, no, don't you understand? He's way better as a Democrat. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Glad to see so many fellow patriots, philosophers, and caffeine addicts. Addicts. It's addicts. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. It's too early for this stuff. Pantry panic. That's right. DC has shut its doors again. SNAP, EBT, all those acronyms that decide who gets to eat are tangled up in bureaucratic red tape. The feds are fumbling over food stamps. Families are tightening belts. We'll dig into the facts and the fallout this morning, because you deserve clarity, not panic. Now, before we get rolling, I know everybody looks at that pineapple on the wall and the one on my desk, and they think, oh, it's just there for decoration. It's not just decoration. It's actually a symbol of liberty's welcome. You see, the American colonists, listen to this, Matt Unruh and Suburban Dadcore. Listen closely. It's not a swinger thing. The American colonists used to hang pineapples on their gates to tell visitors, you're among friends, but also we don't bow to kings. It's the original don't tread on me fruit. So the pineapple stays here. It's a daily reminder. Of hospitality without submission and sweetness without servitude. So that's why the pineapple's here. Our pineapple of independence. We call it here on the Wake Up America show, we consider ourselves to be not on the gold standard, but on a different kind of gold standard. It's gold on the inside. It's the pineapple standard on the Wake Up America show. Please don't forget to click the like button if you're here today. And if today is the first time you've watched the Wake Up America show, click the follow button as well. We'd love to have you guys be a regular guest on the Wake Up America show. Today, we're going to talk about that same pineapple spirit from the SNAP shutdown chaos to the grassroots fight that Cliff Maloney is waging in New Jersey. We're going to thaw things out. It's 39 degrees, so just above freezing here in Jefferson City, Missouri. What's it like where you are? I'd love to hear from you. I got to not read the comments. Don't read the comments. At 8 o'clock, Camellia Peterson is going to join me to talk about the internet's latest moral panic. Congressman Thomas Massie got remarried, and some people were...
No, God! No!
Some people had strong opinions about this. As a matter of fact, everybody had strong opinions about this. It's the triumvirate of controversy. It involves, one, a man going from chubby nerd to wolf man, sexy ladies man after his wife passed away, tragically last year. So there's the glow up, the total makeover that occurred with Thomas Massie. There is the much younger woman who I know, Carolyn Moffa, a lovely girl. There's controversy number 2. And then it involves getting remarried after a loved one passed away very soon after. I've got a lot of opinions about this. You know, my father, John David Peterson, he never remarried after my mother passed away. And it was because, I think he articulated to us, because he just never wanted to have a wicked stepmother situation with us kids, me and Justin and Jody, my brother and sister. And that's a real legitimate fear, a legitimate danger. In Thomas Massie's defense, of course, his kids are all grown up. But of course, it leaves us a lot to unpack. People have strong opinions about that. Thomas Massie, a leader of the American Libertarian Movement, and therefore we will discuss it. So there you go. That's 8 o'clock. Later this morning, we're going to close with a big truth bomb. This one's coming from the catwalk. So Le Monde, I know you guys are big, probably followers of French fashion magazines, but I know you're not. So I read this stuff for you. So Le Monde reports that I read it for the articles. Le Monde reports that after years of preaching representation and diversity, luxury brands are quietly requesting Caucasian models again. In other words, they want white girls in the magazines again. I wonder if it's because they want to sell magazines. That's funny. Yes, it turns out that people like money. So merit, beauty, and market reality are back in style, and the DEI bureaucracy is out. So guys, it's time to pour yourself a great cup of Jeffersonian Java. Salute the pineapple. My heart goes out to you. Salute the pineapple and hang out with us, guys, because we've got a great show for you today. As usual, we have incredible bonus content for you all. Austin, what is bonus content? It's content that you can unlock. It's unlockables. It's a little surprise, a sweet little snack for you to unpack if we raise $100 on the Wake Up America show today. It looks like people are really excited about doing it because we've raised $1. Womp, womp, womp. Now, yesterday we raised it in like 10 minutes. It was crazy. I don't know why everybody felt generous, but you guys today, you don't need to feel generous. You can actually just go buy something from the shop, and that totally counts as an unlock at forlibertyshop.com. It's time to sit inside your homes and get cozy and drink the most delicious coffee that's ever been made. It's ever been founded. Our Founding Flavors coffee is the #1 seller in the shop. Jeffersonian Java. People buy this and they have it delivered on a daily, weekly, not daily, but weekly, monthly basis. They sign up for either a 1 month, a 2 month, a 3 month. And by God, there are some people who want that every 2 weeks. They want that Jeffersonian Java. They got to have it. It's delicious. And look at the customer reviews. Cecilia, 5 stars. Cal Susi, 5 stars. Ethan Ware, 4 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. If it wasn't for Ethan Ware, this would be a perfect 5 stars. He said a decent taste without the ability to wake me up in the morning without giving me the jitters. But you couldn't give it 5 stars, Ethan? Come on. ForLibertyShop.com. When you see that price, remember that if you're in the United States, not only are you getting free shipping, but you're free because you're born in the United States of America, baby. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Go to ForLibertyShop.com. Get some Founding Flavors coffee tonight. Won't be just any night. And then we will have... What am I doing there? Oh, you don't want to see that. See me write my scripts. Crazy Nancy has been reduced to muttering about how President Trump is a vile creature and the worst thing on the face of the earth.
Just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled the press. He's chilled the press. He's scared people.
Let's be honest. The press really needed to chill, didn't they? The press needed to chill. All right. So let's talk about what's really happening right now. The federal government's still in shutdown mode, and over 42 million Americans, 1 in 8 people, depend on SNAP. Last week, the Trump administration announced it would partially fund November benefits using about $5 billion from contingency funds, which is roughly half of what's usually distributed. I was told there would be riots. I have seen no riots. The rest of it is frozen until Congress stops playing chicken with your chicken. So New York already has declared a food emergency. Governor Kathy Hochul moved to pump $65 million into state food banks to fill the gap. Governor Mike Kehoe of Missouri doing something similar. Oklahoma's Governor Kevin Stitt says he may call a special session just to keep his citizens fed. When red and blue governors are both scrambling for canned beans, you know that the system is broken. So we all know it's broken. 2 federal judges have ordered the USDA to require payments in certain states, arguing that food aid qualifies as, quote, essential services. So now you've got courts writing grocery policy. You can't make this up. Literally the opposite of what judges are supposed to be doing in this country. Not at all. Judges are not supposed to be writing laws. Oklahoma's governor is so he's saying they're going to call him into a special session. Mike Kehoe of Missouri didn't even wait for that. So now to add to the absurdity, 2 federal judges have ordered the USDA to resume payments, ordering that the food qualifies as essential services. Essential services. I don't see where Little Debbie's and assorted junk foods are essential services. If you cut out half of the non-essential food in the essential services, you would actually have very little of the essential services that are essential in the essential services. Dadbod says he wants to become a judge so he can rule the world. Exactly. Economists at the Congressional Budget Office say every week of shutdown cost the economy between 7 and 14 billion. They say in lost GDP, but remember GDP is socialist because it includes the government measure of spending. So while politicians are here, they're all pointing fingers at each other. The taxpayers, of course, we get the bill, and our food gets cold. So here's the thing. Washington dysfunction, for those of you who are regular viewers of the Wake Up America show, this isn't new. This is a seasonal allergy. But what is new about this is that now both parties are totally comfortable with just letting the country dangle from a cliff just to get a headline. And the joke of it is the same people who tell us that government is indispensable are proving every day that we can survive without them just fine. Dadbot asks the real question, says, and how much money do we save by being shut down? Great question. Another 15 billion or so, I am told. So if anything, that what this crisis has exposed is a truth that libertarians have been saying for decades, that when the federal bureaucracy stops, local America starts thinking, aren't we all still going to work? Is everything still functioning in your community? Are there trains that are running on time, as they say? Look what's happening on the ground. Churches, private charities, community food banks, they're stepping up. I've seen this all over the country. On social media, you could see local food banks stepping up, churches opening up their doors, saying that they will feed the hungry. In New York City, one nonprofit reported that their donations tripled in a week. A pastor in Tulsa, Oklahoma said reportedly, "We didn't wait for Congress. We just opened the pantry." There it is. That's the American spirit. It's what happens when necessity forces creativity. When you stop waiting for Washington to rescue you and you start rescuing yourself. Right? Now, critics will say, Austin, people are suffering. You're making jokes about this, right? But humor, having humor is not being cruel. It's not inherently cruel. It's a way for us to have a little bit of clarity while we're examining the facts. Sometimes dismal things. Sometimes you have to laugh in the face of danger, laugh in the face of evil. And sometimes you have to make light of situations in order for people to loosen up and to think outside the box. If you can get people to laugh, you can get them to do anything. Ask me how I know. I think you know what I'm saying. So, we live in a country where government can print trillions for foreign wars. We've got plenty of money in the budget, but we can't decide if we can fund milk or bread, right? So to me, we should be focusing on America first. We shouldn't be spending money on SNAP or EBT, but it's better that we spend this money on Americans than we spend it on foreign aid or welfare programs overseas, in my opinion. In my opinion, these funds, if they are to be spent at all, should be spent on the American people first. I don't agree with these programs, but I think that they're better than foreign aid and foreign welfare programs. Those are the ones that we should be going after first. But of course, that would, we'd have to get rid of the welfare warfare state. We're not doing that anytime soon, it seems, because we are not Argentina. So SNAP, of course, exists because hungry families is not popular at election season, right? States should have contingency plans, sure, if they want. I would prefer my state not, and that we go to full charity, and work requirements should be local, right? Not dictated by a bureaucrat in a cubicle who's never set foot in a grocery store that sells off-brand mac and cheese. So when the founders wrote the Constitution, they didn't imagine that Washington, D.C. was going to micromanage our lunch. They imagined a republic of self-governing citizens, a country where responsibility starts at home and extends outward through our communities, and starting with our families. It's not the other way around. All right, so if the shutdown proves anything, it's that the federal safety net has become like a spider web, right? It's sticky, it's fragile, and every time it snaps, everybody's sort of surprised except for the spider. So here's a number that's going to blow your mind. Since 2008, SNAP enrollment has ballooned from 26 million to over $42 million. That's a population bigger than California. So 26 million from 2008 to today, it was 26 million people in 2008. That's a lot of people. It's now 42 million people on this program, bigger than California. And we're not being compassionate here. That's not a compassionate system, right? That's dependence disguised as benevolence. Stephanie and I were talking about this yesterday. We're talking about the health insurance subsidies for the Obamacare programs. You see, if you don't go into the system, if you don't, to some extent, buy into the matrix, if you don't work for the man, you don't get health insurance unless you are extremely wealthy and you can be independent on your own. But if you're like Stephanie and I, right, a young family trying to, raising our first child, trying to build a business so that one day, in theory, we could, retire and, raise our kids and send them to college, like on what we're earning from selling coffee, Founding Flavors coffee at the Four Liberties shop. But we get an Obamacare subsidy because of our income level. Because at the end of the day, after I pay Brad all the taxes for Brad, we got a new guy who's coming in doing a little part-time work. And now, I got to pay Stephanie for her time for running all the books around here, because she's, running around like a chicken and her head cut off. By the time I pay everybody and everybody gets paid, I'm the person who eats last. So by the time the end of the year, my income is actually relatively small, right? After I've paid all of my bills, paid all of my taxes, bought all the diapers and all the milk, there's not a lot of rumble rants left over for me to go, oh, that'll be nice. I'll, go out and get a pizza or something this weekend. So my income, my actual takings, what's left on the table is very small. So we qualify for a subsidy because of our income level. And we're just thinking to ourselves, Stephanie and I are like, well, what if they take that away? Because part of the argument in the shutdown is what if they take away that Obamacare subsidy? And I said, just like when we were talking to John Milton yesterday, I said, well, the system will collapse because people like ourselves, we won't be able to afford health insurance without that. I think our health insurance would be something like $2,500 a month, right? You'd have to make drastic cuts if, just to have health insurance. It wouldn't be feasible. The system is clearly already broken. And right now we're just, patching it, duct taping it. But if they took it away, we would just have to cancel health insurance. We just couldn't afford health insurance. That's just, it would cost everything. You'd have to lay off Brad. You'd have to shut down aspects of the network. We'd have to step back instead of stepping forward, which is of course what they want, because the system wants us to be dependent. It doesn't just want us dependent on the government. That much is obvious, but the system wants us dependent on our corporate overlords and our masters who can afford the insurance, because $2,500 a month to your bosses is not much, right? For small businesses like ourselves, for families like ourselves, middle-class families like Stephanie and I, it's a lot. And I'm sure you're probably in a similar position, unless you're working for somebody else. If you're like me and you work for yourself, you better make a lot of money if you want to be able to survive. So if those go away, Stephanie's like, well, wow, that would really hurt us a lot if those Obamacare subsidies went away, which is what part of this fight is over. Yeah, very true. But here's the thing. You would suddenly have a market alternative. All of a sudden, there would be an incentive for the private market to step up and compete. If it was legal, which of course it won't be. They won't make it legal to compete. So what happens to all these families? Well, there'll be, you want to talk about riots, wait until you really piss off middle America, to real middle America, and you destroy their life savings and their ability to take care of their kids. You want to talk about a fucking revolution in this country? Break the healthcare system even more. Even more. When you got kids, you got to insure, Hazel's up all night screaming, we got to take her to the doctor. You got Tylenol that's making them Tylenol Americans. Kids change everything. So it's market adjustments to hit after the insurance market stops getting inflated. Exactly. That's what they want. They want us to be dependent. They want you to be dependent either on your boss, or they want you to be dependent on the government, but preferably the government, because they want the government to just take over all the corporations and manage it, seize the means of production, if you will. Will we have a Republican governor of Virginia? Will we have a Republican governor of New Jersey? Let's talk to Cliff Maloney about that. It's election day. Hey, are you guys going out to vote today? Drop some comments in the chat. Let me know what's being voted on in your states and your cities and your towns. It's the Wake Up America show, and that's on the 4 Liberty Network. For now.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
if there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
It always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the
When the founding fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Because I'm going to have a conversation with the other side, and that's where I'm at. And I'm going to show up and talk to anyone that invites me to be here because we really need each other. And I want to have, and one other thing I refuse to do as a Democrat, I'm not going to call you a fascist or a Nazi. I'm not going to compare anyone to like Hitler or anything. That's wrong. And if you resort to that thing, you've lost the plot. It's like, because if you call him a fascist, then you have to think, well, maybe the people that vote for him, and I know people that love for him, is a fascist. That's just not true.
Jesse Waters was smiling so big during that. He always smiles big, though, still. Good morning. Rise and freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. It's election day. It's time to talk about how grassroots voters are stepping up while D.C. falls flat, and what the New Jersey governor's race tells us about the power of knocking on doors versus sitting on your hands. I see a lot of you sitting on your hands. You need to get your butts up and get out there and vote, or maybe go knock on your neighbor's door and take them with you to the polls. Don't go, guys. It's time for us to fight for our freedom. A lot of people talk about fighting for freedom, fighting for liberty, fighting for the Constitution. A lot of people post memes about it. Primarily me. That's me posting those memes. But hey, I fight for it too. And my next guest, he doesn't even post memes. He just gets out there and fights for liberty. His name's Cliff Maloney. He's talking to us about the New Jersey turning red story. Could be. What's up, Cliff? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, AP. Always glad to be back here on Wake Up America. I mean, I think it's a heck of a day. Ask me in 12 hours how I'm doing.
I bet you're a little shaky right now because, I mean, I'm looking at recent polling puts the Democrat at 49% and the Republican Jack Ciattarelli at 48%. That is a stunning collapse of what was once a 20-point summer lead. What have you been doing out there? Are you drugging people, Cliff?
We've been knocking quite a few doors. Look, I went on your show probably 100 times in 2024 to talk about our work in Pennsylvania. You know, after the smashing success, we were getting calls from everywhere. So we picked up a couple sniper type targets in Virginia. And obviously we're doing the statewide with the New Jersey Chase program. Austin, we've knocked, I won't announce it because it's not true yet, but in the next 2 hours, we're going to hit our 500,000th door in both Jersey and PA.
Whoa.
Million doors this year, so we're very excited about that. But look, I don't know if Jack's going to win. Okay, I like to be honest with people. I don't like to do the hype and the sensationalism and we're going to win, we're going to win. I like to be honest with our activists and our community and our donors and our door knockers. I don't know if he's going to win, but I know he's in it and it is competitive and there is a chance that we pull this off. And Austin, if I would have told you a year ago that we were going to flip New Jersey, I would have thought you were crazy. So there's an opportunity here. I'm really hoping we pull it out. He's going to have to win Election Day by roughly 295,000 votes. He won Election Day back in 2021 by 200 and change. So he's going to have record turnout. He's going to have to get people to come out. And hopefully we turned out enough of those that weren't going to vote on Election Day to vote by mail or vote early. But that's what this day is about. Can he win Election Day by 300,000 as the margin he wins by today?
Yeah, there's only one other place where I like to tell people that they should direct their coffee money that normally goes to Founding Flavors here at our shop, and that's to Cliff Maloney and his doors win wars attitude. The New Jersey Chase from molded out of the fires of the victory of the Pennsylvania Chase. Now we're seeing a tightening of polls due to the work of good men like Cliff. But how much of what we've seen in terms of the polls tightening between these two candidates, how much of it do you attribute to field operations, what you guys are doing, versus also things like changing voter sentiment? So taxes and energy, right? The voters themselves are starting to lean right in certain ways, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of two things. One is the actual message of the campaign. Okay, that I get no credit for. That credit goes to Jack Ciattarelli, that goes to his team, that goes to Trump, that goes to kind of the national apparatus of what are voters consuming, how are voters feeling about current policy, and that's not my world, right? Yes, we talk to voters at the door, but the reality is candidates have to drive whether they're talking about affordability, they're talking about taxes, they're talking about immigration policy, jobs, putting food on the table, the cost of living. The candidate in Jack Ciattarelli has rocked that. He has done such a great job. It's always nice. You know, I've done some races where I'm not on the side of the candidate that's actually a good candidate. You know, and Mikey Sherrill is just a horrendous candidate. Like it could not be a better situation. The second part to that is, yes, we've got the ground game. We've got coalitions with people like Scott Pressler, people like Turning Point Action. We've got groups like America First Works, Heritage, all of these groups, right? The county parties, the state party, right? Not one person or organization gets credit, but you have this coalition coming together in New Jersey that really makes it possible for him to win. That's why the polls are closing. That's why the polls are tightening the way they are, because people are hearing the message and we're doing the work to compete in the election. It's got to be both.
I'm speaking to Cliff Maloney this morning in the New Jersey Chase. It's election day. What do you think of the top two issues in New Jersey that that you think voters want address? And do you think that, you know, the Republican Party is speaking to the top issues?
Yeah. Number one, far and away, is electric bills. It's very interesting. Don't take this the wrong way, as I know you're in Missouri and I'm a PA guy by heart, but it's like you go into certain states and you didn't realize things were problems, and that's all everybody's talking about. And so the electric bills, the energy costs in New Jersey have just skyrocketed under Democrat leadership. I mean, pretty brutal. And so that's the number one issue. And then the rest of them are what you'd expect, right? They want to talk about illegal immigration. They want to talk about the cost of living and just inflation. You get back to jobs. And, you know, I mean, it's a lot of, do you want a working class or somebody that represents working class, or do you want somebody that represents kind of more the elitist bubble? And Austin, think about this dichotomy. It's just for your whole audience. Imagine New York City elects a socialist and New Jersey elects a Republican. Is there ever more of a time where the difference between the elitist bubble that is the New York City folks electing a socialist compared to the working class folks of New Jersey who say, listen, we're going to go with Jack Ciattarelli? That to me is like, you know, I'm not rooting for the socialist, but if the socialist wins, which he likely will, I really, really would be interested to see, you know, how Jack can kind of push back. He's already said to people, hey, if you want to escape New York City with your socialist, come to Jersey. You know, we'd love to have you. I just think it's a huge opportunity.
One of the big conversations surrounding the Jack Ciattarelli campaign is that he's got Trump's endorsement, and some people see that as potentially a liability in deep blue New Jersey. What do you think? Embracing Trump, a good thing, bad thing? What have voters said when you knock on the doors about his relationship with Trump?
Yeah, well, why do you think Mikey Sherrill pulled her ad when she was calling him a MAGA extremist? Things are very different in 2025 compared to 2021. What I mean is, you know, people say that Trump's endorsement, he's got some pretty solid numbers in New Jersey. And even if you say, oh, well, his numbers are this or they're that, you need to turn out every single Republican to win this election. Jack also plays well with the independents. Right? There are certain polls where independents are breaking the Jack at 10 points or more an advantage. So it's very different than the things I'm used to, which is usually independents are breaking the wrong way. Jack's the opposite. Usually Trump is something where people are trying to figure out, well, how does it fit in politically? Mikey Sherrill ran an ad calling Jack Ciattarelli a super MAGA guy, and his numbers only intensified. She was educating America First folks that Jack Ciattarelli is an America First guy. And so, you know, she spent all this money trying to call him a radical, and it only helped him. So I don't know. Look, people can make all these predictions. Trump's not on the ballot. In my world, that's a problem when it comes to turnout, right? And so that's the work we're doing, is to try to figure out, how do we get a lot of these people that voted last year that typically don't vote in off years, how do we get them to come out and vote? And that's been the point of the chase. That's been the success we've had. Folks can get involved at njchase.com, njchase.com. But today's election day, and we're not going to stop until the polls close at 8 p.m.
Cliff, have there been any memorable knock-on-door moments from this campaign? Any particular conversations that stood out to you that, you know, deeply humanizing, deeply personal, or that really made you think or stood out in some way?
So yesterday I was in Camden, in Jersey, and I'm just going to share this because it's on the back of my mind. So we knocked on the door where they had a Trump sign in the front yard and a Jack Ciattarelli sign in the front yard. There were 3 people at the house that were all registered Republicans that have not voted since like 2018. And of course we go up to the door, and that's the conversation, is like, hey, you know, you have a ballot here. Could we get you to send that back? And of course they're all in. We love Jack. We love Trump, right? These are not doors, Austin, where I have to convince people or persuade them. The persuading is for them to actually realize that their vote has value and they need to vote. And I share that with you because it wasn't some deep conversation, but it's just very eye-opening. You had 3 people that all had mail-in ballots, and as of yesterday, they had not sent them back. They have not voted since 2018, and they have a Ciattarelli and a Trump sign in their front yard, right? The game is completely different. People think like, oh, you know, it's got to have the perfect message. It's like, no, The votes happen for months at a time. You just have to go out and remind your people. And in states like New Jersey, it's tougher than PA because there's not, there's a much bigger gap in registration. So we have a bigger hole to fill. But the folks are out there. And I do feel like the more we have these conversations at the door, we're just developing habit. We're teaching people to continuously remember this is how you vote. It's much easier. And it's working.
Cliff, you've built a machine in Pennsylvania and now in New Jersey. If you win, your fortunes, are really going to change. Do you become that person that you have talked smack about for years? Do you become the ultimate political consultant? Does this change your life?
I can't wait. I'm going to go into TV ad buying only and make my 15% commission. have old clips.
We all know.
Where I'm calling them out.
We all know.
Now, listen, I don't want to say too much in terms of, what our plans are for 2026. I'll commit to come back on the show and announce that. But we're really looking at expanding, right? We're looking at different areas and places we can go and what we can do. And look, doors win wars is not some slogan just to be a slogan. We believe it here at Citizens Alliance. And so we're always looking for what are the key battles we can fight to use that tactic of knocking doors. And I think we're going to have, tons of opportunity in 2026. And I'm excited to see how that pans out.
Cliff, is there anything that we've missed in this discussion? We didn't get to mention Virginia. I know that you guys aren't doing statewide there, but you've got some local races, perhaps. Is there anything else on your radar that you think is worthy of mentioning before we let you go today?
Just last thing I'll say is while we're in New Jersey and while we're doing a couple races in Virginia, PA is still the red wall that we are working to build. So we will knock 500,000 doors there as of today as well. And so when people ask me, what's the long-term vision? It's still by 2028, make Pennsylvania that red wall so that the commies cannot win a national election again for a long time. Obviously hoping that we have liberty candidates and America First warriors on the Republican side. But that's it. Folks can find me on X at Maloney. And Austin, your audience has always been some of the most loyal. NJChase.com if folks want to get involved. Sponsor a pizza for tonight's after party for the ballot chasers. Let's see if we can pull one of these out. Thanks for having me.
Do it, guys. Go buy a pizza for these guys. They're working their butts off to try and make sure that you and your kids get to live in a freer country. That's Cliff Maloney. Always on the Freedom Watch. He's the night watchman. Have a good one, Cliff, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
And the other insane thing is that when people are going to go to their meetings with the judge, the meetings that they're supposed to go to, when they're listening to what the hell, what?
I love when Sonny passes notes.
We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part. It was a joke.
Yes. We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part.
Come on.
But we do know that he didn't know who that crypto guy was.
Well, I'm sorry. The hardest thing about this job now is no one understands nuance. You know when you hear a joke, when somebody's fooling around, when they're not saying something specific, especially on this show. I'm very specific when I'm pointing stuff out. When I'm making jokes, you know when I'm making jokes. This is ridiculous.
You okay, Whoopi? Gee, Merry Christmas. Good morning. We're about to cross the 100 viewers mark this morning. Nice to see you all here today. I'm Austin Peterson. He needs his glasses. Make sure he's got his glasses. Once we hit 100 people, then I'm fixing to bust. Welcome to the show. Click the like button if you haven't already. If every person donated just $1 here in a Rumble rant, that would unlock the bonus content today, which is a two-phase. 104 people. Yes. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So if each person just donated $1 in Rumble Rants, that would unlock the bonus content today. What is the bonus content? The bonus content is our 5-minute mini documentary that we've produced for you today. And we do it in a Lego style. It's fun. It's funny. And it's usually very informative. And we also play a mini game at the end of the show. If you make a Rumble Rant donation or you purchase anything from forlibertyshop.com, then you will get an entry to play the game, which is fun. John and KC, he's going to be eligible to play the game at the end of the show, where you can win real prizes. And real prizes are things from forlibertyshop.com, which we highly recommend that you visit this morning during our commercial break. At forlibertyshop.com, we absolutely sell the best coffee in the world, and here is how strongly convinced I am that I'm not exaggerating. Because if you do not like any of the coffee that you buy from me, I will buy it back from you. You look at that price and you think, oh, that's a little pricey. But remember, that includes shipping. So you don't have to worry about the shipping price. St. Selma's, thank you very much. I'm telling you, if you buy a box of Franklin's Electric Elixir, you will come back and buy some more. And if you already buy Founding Flavors coffee, why not go ahead and just sign up for a month subscription so that you get it once a month. It's a great way to support the Wake Up America show on the regs and to ensure that you stay in the supply of delicious coffee. At forlibertyshop.com, the holiday collection is ready. For those of you who are interested in going with us to Buenos Aires, to go see Javier Milei next year, don't forget to drop your email over here. You can click here for details if you go to forlibertyshop.com. Scroll down and you'll see the Buenos Aires trip. You can click there for the details. While you're there, drop your email so that you can get notifications whenever we go, put together the trip for next year. Just an FYI, Brad put together a really nice little discount for you guys. If you do want to buy some coffee today, then you get 20% off of the holiday collection as well. So if you buy a box of delicious Martha's Mint this morning during the live show, it helps to unlock the bonus content. And you can get 20% off of the holiday collection as well. So make Christmas great again. That's a really great banner, Brad. Nice job. Nothing says I love you like earrings. Those are great Christmas gifts, guys. Might as well just go ahead and order them and get your Christmas shopping knocked out of the way if you've got a patriotic lady of liberty in your life, or if you're just a dude who wears earrings, like me. I don't wear them anymore, but I still have my piercing from college. I was young. I needed the money. Then go to forlibertyshop.com. You can get great merch like Sorry About Your Candidate, National Lampoon's Office Party Disaster. This year, the only thing getting canceled is their holiday spirit. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Booty Sweat says, AP, are you going to get a meeting with Javier down there? I will try with everything in my being to get our Liberty tour to do a quick meet and greet with Javier Milei. I don't know if that'll happen, and I can't promise that. I'm not putting it on the itinerary unless it's 100% confirmed. And right now, there's a 0% chance because I haven't even asked yet, because right now we don't even know if we're going to be able to go, because you got to get enough people to go on trips like these. So if we get enough people to go to Argentina, then we'll go to Argentina. If I can work my magic and have Javier Milei respond to my DMs, because I've been sliding in there like crazy, then we'll do that. So thank you very much for everybody who puts up with things like live reads and commercials. I am a regular man who must do live reads, but at least we sell our own merchandise. Remember, too, that when you go to forlibertyshop.com, or when you're making purchases or when you're making donations, guys, that you're also helping to pay for Brad as well, because we do have a whole team over here at the For Liberty Network. So remember, it's not just all about me or Steffi or Hazel. It's also about the community people that we employ, which we want to grow. So do visit forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. I have an annoying libertarian over in my Twitter comments I have to mute forever. I'm so sick of the anti-American libertarian bullshit. Why are libertarians in the United States? Why do they hate America so much? I used to, for years, I defended libertarians from saying, oh, they hate America, they hate America. No, they don't. They don't. They're just non-interventionists. And now, 17 years later, and having run for president as libertarian and knowing literally thousands and thousands of libertarians, I can say, in the United States at least, that a vast majority, but not all, some are good people, they do hate America. It's very sad. It's very sad. No, not Rand Paul. We're going to talk about Thomas Massie here in just a moment. Camellia Peterson is going to join us live at 8 a.m. Central Time. It's just a huge controversy because Thomas Massie's wife passed away last year. She had an autoimmune disease that she apparently really struggled with for the last 5 years. She passed away last year. Thomas Massie announces his wedding to let's say younger, much younger. I don't know what you consider to be much younger. He's in his 50s. She's in her late 30s. And it's a controversy. So people are talking about this, about their marriage, and they're talking about what you want your wife or husband to do if you passed away. And of course, everybody was having this conversation yesterday. So we're all going to answer it. If your wife or your husband were to pass away, would you get remarried? Would you want your wife or husband to get remarried if you passed away? It's a question that a lot of us haven't really thought. But I'll tell you already, because Stephanie and I talked about it yesterday at length, and I said, yeah, Stephanie, it's okay. It's okay. I won't. One, yes, to honor Stephanie, but two, because I'm kind of like my dad. I don't want to have a wicked stepmother over my daughter. And so I would be concerned unless that woman would be, whoever she might be, would be a perfect quote unquote mother to my own daughter, then I wouldn't want to have that. Because I remember my dad, after my mother passed away, I was 16 years old when my mother passed away, but she was sick for like a year and a half before that. So right around the time I was 15, was when my mom got sick, and then she passed away when I was 16, and this would have been around 1997 that she passed away. And that was that. My dad had girlfriends, and that became a sincere question: would my father remarry? Would he bring someone into his life? And now the question becomes, how do you as a child react to that? Well, I'll tell you, most kids, I think if you're a teenager, you're not really rational. You're not a fully grown adult yet. So I think it's natural to maybe you feel hurt by it because you would worry that that person is taking the place of your mother, because they are to an extent. They'll never be your mother. The relationship that you have with them could never be exactly the same, and you couldn't guarantee that you'd have the kinds of positive relationships that you would want with those kids. And I think that is a real danger that you face. So I don't know how most people feel about it. I think I would want Stephanie to get taken care of, but Stephanie, she said that I should remarry, actually. And I think that's probably not the norm necessarily. But she said that she thinks that I should get remarried because she says that men don't typically do very well when they don't have someone helping to take care of them. And I love my father, and I know that he has struggled from the fact that he doesn't have help. He's alone on a 60-acre ranch, takes care of everything himself, manages everything, and doesn't have anybody to help him. Doesn't hire a maid, doesn't do any of that stuff, does everything on his own. But the thing is that nobody can do everything on their own. Everybody needs a partner in life. Life is made for two. I wonder what you guys think about that. We're going to have a really interesting conversation with Camellia Peterson about this when we get back. You guys are really close, looks like, almost to unlocking the bonus content. I'm not 100% sure if we've hit it yet, but we might be pretty close at this point. Would you stay single? I'm going to read your comments during the commercial break, unless we've hit the bonus content. I'm asking Brad, did we hit the bonus? ? If we did, then I will start it during the commercial break. We'll play commercials real quick. And then if we hit the bonus content, then I'll roll the tape. Here we go.
When the founding fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com. Look, not all t-shirts are created equal. Some just sit there. Others start conversations. The ones at forlibertyshop.com, they raise eyebrows, win arguments, and occasionally get you banned from PTA meetings. Whether you're repping freedom, mocking tyrants, or just making the left squirm, we've got the gear that says what you're thinking. Loud, proud, unapologetic. Grab yours today at forlibertyshop.com because your shirt should speak louder than your neighbor's bumper sticker. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the 4 Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, no corporate slogans. Just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com. Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop forlibertyshop.com. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit forlibertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approve. You should too. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's forlibertyshop.com.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong.
I didn't know that Thomas Massie could play the banjo. That was him at his wedding. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the 4 Liberty Network. Glad and thankful to have you here. Don't forget to click the like button if you haven't already. We did unlock the bonus content during the break, but I didn't have enough time to play it because I got to get my next guest on here in just a moment. Congressman Thomas Massie, liberty-minded Republican from Kentucky, just remarried after the death of his first wife of 31 years. The new bride is former Capitol Hill staffer for Rand Paul, Carolyn Grace Maffa. The age gap and timing, of course, raising some eyebrows amongst people, and the optics are provoking very loud reactions. So it's a public figure story with social media heat. There's some political subtext here and cultural complex relationship with morality and the media. Joining us now, the lovely Camellia Peterson. Here. Good morning, CJ. How are you? I see that. Camellia, hold on just one moment. I'm getting a little bit of a freeze on my computer. You're fine, but they looks like we might have lost the feed. Give me just a second, can you? All right, hold on. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's like frozen. So here's what I'm going to have to do. That's working okay. It looks like it's... coming back. I'm just going to go to a quick little... go to the intro video and just see if it picks up. And we're back. Little gremlins today. Good morning, Camellia.
Good morning.
This is a big story because it intersects with so many of the topics that people love to discuss. Marrying a much younger woman, being marrying a much younger woman in I'll say relatively brief time period after your spouse's death. And then also the fact that Thomas Massie really had a huge glow up, after his wife passed away. He kind of went from being the sort of chubby nerd with glasses to all of a sudden kind of like wolf man with the facial hair and, had a really big glow up, got himself a younger wife. So this was inevitable that this was going to cause controversy. And Thomas Massie has made a lot of enemies lately who are, of course, going to pounce on this. But why don't you just give us your unvarnished, unblemished take on it from a bigger picture perspective, Camellia? Go ahead.
Well, I will confess, I was on Twitter for once, very little yesterday, up until you and I talked briefly about this morning, and you said something about, men marrying after their wife dies. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, we can talk about that. And I totally didn't realize that this was a thing at the time until I got on Twitter, and I was like, oh. And so, people just were losing their minds. I mean, there was obviously a lot of people who were very happy for them, congratulating them. But yes, all sorts of horrible, nasty things. Even people, drawing it, questioning whether or not his wife died under suspicious circumstances, this, that, and the other. But here's the thing, which is ludicrous. Like, she had a long-term illness. But here's the thing. When you talk about Thomas Massie's glow up, like, I've been saying this for a while, like, you know, he lost a lot of weight after his wife passed away. And I think that's very normal. Like, you cannot tell me that in that grieving process that, I mean, that is just kind of, that happens. And so, you know, I don't know that losing the weight is because of this new woman, right?
It must be the raw milk that they're all drinking over there.
Yes, that must be it. But I do think that too, like, you know, I think that her passing also changed him. I think it can't not change you, right? When you are married to someone and you have a whole life with them for that long and you've made a family, it changes you when you lose them like that. And so, you know, he, to me, over the last year or so, has had more of an edge. He's become more, shall we say, you know, like hardcore inflammatory, right? I mean, he's chosen to dive full on into those battles. That's a little different, but there's been a different edge to it than there was before. And I kind of attributed that to just the effect of his wife passing away. Now, in the midst of all that, clearly, you know, he found happiness, who knows at what point, with someone that he'd known for quite some time. And I don't think that there's anything abnormal about that, to be honest. There are a lot of men, especially if they are older, who do tend to get into a relationship fairly quickly after their wife passes away. And I think what you were talking about with what Stephanie said, that men just don't handle it as well, you know, on their own after they've been with someone. I think there's a lot of validity to that. And I think there's a difference, by the way. I do think there's a difference when you have not been on your own for a long time as a man, right? And not. So, I mean, like, it's not shocking to me, although I was like, oh, well, rip all of the libertarian women out there who were hoping.
She's the one libertarian woman who got him. Do you think that, there are a lot of accusations flying around because they got married so quickly after, and he knew her for years, right? Anything odd about that, in your opinion?
I don't know. The only thing still that I've seen, I mean, she worked for Rand Paul, right? I mean, so they were obviously in the same circles. And, you know, he noted on his post that she had even come out to the farm at one time, visited he and his wife out there. So, I mean, they knew each other for quite some time. I would have nothing to go on and no way to even speculate that there was anything untoward between the two of them before his wife passed away. In fact, my inclination would be to not assume that, just based on kind of the character that I know of Thomas Massie and the people around him, the people who speak for him.
Do you think that the age gap is significant?
No, nope. I didn't even look it up. Like, I know you said, like, he's in his 50s. I don't know, like,
54 and 36.
Okay, 54. That's not, especially at that age, that's not bad. I mean, it's not bad anyway. And that's what, if you do, let me do math at this time.
54 and 36, 20 years, pretty much. So, but here's the thing. You know what this speaks to? The infantilization of women is that because you can be a woman in your 30s, but if you decide to marry a man in his 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, then it's like, oh, they're all taking advantage. When in reality, probably the opposite is true in many cases. Maybe not this case, but I mean, he's a rich and powerful man. He's a sitting U.S. congressman. We're talking, you know, if anything, you know, she's the lucky one here. No offense. No offense.
No, I 100% agree with you on that, because I told you yesterday, like, one of the first thoughts that popped into my head, you know, this is when you've been in the red pill community way too long, and this is the first thing that comes to mind, is that, you know, these are the men who are usually saying, yeah, age gap, that's great, go for the younger woman. They're also the same men who are saying, what? She's in her 30s and she's never been married before? There must be something wrong with her. So, but I mean, like, at least it was funny, by the way, in his post that he did note that she's not been married before.
I know that the post that he made was it was kind of awkward. Let's be real. Thomas Massie, he's a nerd, so I think when he made this post, it wasn't artful or charismatic, but not everything that you can tell that at least he writes his own posts, because not a PR firm. Because they did say. He did say, we were legally married in Kentucky. Okay, well, I'm glad that they were legally married, I guess. But first of all, that's a statist. And then second of all, he says they met professionally. And I don't know why he felt like he needed to tell that story. But I mean, I think people probably would have been maybe a little less weirded out if he had introduced her as his girlfriend maybe months ago, or said that they had gotten married months ago, and then it would have diffused it. But it was kind of like it just exploded out into the open.
Well, and think about this, like, it would have made her a target if anybody had any inkling that she was involved with him months ago.
True.
And, the thing is like, I think I actually, artful or not, I do think that the post he put out was good, and that it gave a little context to their relationship, had a little bit of a story with it. Like, I think if you just said, hey, we got married, the questions would have been way worse. The speculation would have been a lot more. But there was one important thing. Steffi pointed this out to me yesterday. There was an important part of this timeline that was left out, which is, I mean, you don't just get married out of the blue unless you're Candace Owens and her weird husband. Look up that relationship. Very strange. They didn't even meet. And they had no affection for each other whatsoever. They just met over a Zoom call and then had a business conversation and got married. But in this situation, how long were they together? I mean, Stephanie and I were like boyfriend and girlfriend for a year. Then we were like fiance for a year. I mean, when did the dating begin? So I think this is different for everyone, and I cast no judgment in something like this, because I think especially too that when you are older, you are probably able to make those decisions more quickly than when you are younger, and you should be able to. I will also say that I always give my parents a hard time, because I was born 9 months to the date after they were married. And now, in fairness, I was born early, but but also, they had not been together very long at all. I say that's where they were married, but they also dated for a fairly short period of time. That's not entirely uncommon. I hear stories all the time of people who dated for 3 months and got married, right? I mean, so it does happen, and sometimes it results in, lifetime marriages. So I don't think too much of that.
So, social media lit up. Some people are offering congratulations, and some people are mocking him. But I mean, the people who are mocking him and attacking him are vicious. I mean, they are coming after him big time on these things. He's made a lot of very powerful enemies only recently. He had a number of enemies, but Trump had endorsed him for his previous campaign. Now, at this point, I don't see there ever being a going back with Massie and Trump. Maybe, potentially, if some sea change happens. But it seems as if Massie has made a lot of very powerful enemies in recent months. Is that accurate, or is that a fair statement?
No, I think that's fair. And as far as whether or not there's any going back, I doubt that also. But I also don't know that it makes sense for him to try to go back at this point either. Because, once we get into the second year of the Trump presidency, a lot of things are going to change. And we're going to see, how much of a lame duck presidency it's going to be for the last 2 years. I mean, the attention is going to increasingly shift away from Trump to what is happening next. And so I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing that there's no going back, for him with Trump. And isn't it interesting, though, the difference in how so many people on the right responded to Massie's marriage, which was a year and a half after his wife passed away. And then also so they can say all kinds of critical things about him, but you can't say anything critical about Erica Kirk. night and day difference in what is acceptable. That
yeah.
just kind of blew my mind yesterday.
Well, they see Thomas Massie as their enemy. I think I'm going to really hardcore disagree with you on that last part, Camellia, and let me tell you why. I think that Thomas Massie has made some powerful enemies with people who could have or should have been his friends, and I think that he's traded those powerful enemies for some very fickle friends. The AIPAC tracking, Antifa adjacent Groyper movement they're not going to, they don't, at their heart, they don't really like Thomas Massie. Quite frankly, if you are terminally online like I am, you can hear Nick Fuentes saying you can't really trust Thomas Massie. You all really like him right now, but you can't trust him because he's a libertarian.
They still say, and they still say he's funded by the Jews because they say Jeffrey Yass is a huge donor. They will still find a way.
So then what has Thomas, so I think it's actually a really big, stupid mistake that Thomas Massie has done in alienating these people on this Epstein crusade, because I don't actually, as much as I want the survivors to have their justice, I don't think that sacrificing our bishop or our rook for whatever this hopeful feigned victory may be that we don't know, I don't think that sacrificing Thomas Massie is worth it, because if Thomas Massie sits in Congress and doesn't do jack shit, he'll still be better than every other congressman, but he won't necessarily have moved liberty or advanced any of our purposes. He'll have just been a rock standing in a river that moves and the water will continue to flow around him. So what good does that really do him? What good does that really do us? And, shouldn't we do what you always seem to advocate for, which is to work together with people, even people that we disagree on things? You found now in your career as a lobbyist that you're reaching across the aisle to shake hands with people that you would have never thought that you could have, and people surprised you. So where's the diplomacy here? Why make enemies out of the greatest president that this country has had since Ronald Reagan, Camellia?
So I do agree that it has been a tactical error in kind of the direction that Massie has taken this. And I think that, and honestly, there were some fairly subtle things that he could have just not done that would have prevented this. I think really that he kind of opened the door with some tongue-in-cheek insinuations and different things, it's under the guise of that sassy with Massie, right? But the thing is it opened the door for the Groypers to come full on, and people in the liberty circles that you and I have been familiar with for years that are now they've gone off the deep end, with the Groypers, and these are women, by the way, also, which is even more appalling to me. But they jump to conclusions that I don't think that Massie necessarily jumps to himself. But and I know you can't control all of, what the people who support you do, but you can, you can open the door for it. And I definitely think that he opened the door for it. And so it is just, I think that's not a good thing at all. And I think that we are seeing, wow, we are in weird times in the conservative movement right now, because you've got you've got the Groypers, reluctantly supporting Massie just because of the anti-Israel angle, right? And they want to sometimes make more than what's there. But then you also have, you've got Heritage involved now. You've got Tucker Carlson. It is a mess. And we are at a huge, I think, decision point in the conservative movement.
Yeah, we really are. Did you happen to see any of Ben Shapiro's takedown of Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes yesterday? It was kind of long. I watched.
Recommend.
Yeah, highly recommend. He had all the receipts there with him. And I have to say, I think most American libertarians are following the Groypers off the cliff, which is so sad because, the Groypers worked against Donald Trump. The libertarians worked with Donald Trump and actually helped get Donald Trump elected. This could be a libertarian moment, a revival of our ideas. We could be having so many ideological victories. But instead, we choose to throw in, or I say we, definitely not me, but many libertarians seem to be throwing in with Nick Fuentes and the I hate America, but we're defenders of Western civilization, but we hate everything that it stands for and every icon of Western civilization like Winston Churchill and Ronald Reagan. So what's wrong with American libertarians? Why are they so fucking stupid, Camellia? Why are they so terrible at everything? And why do they also have bad hygiene on top of that?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I cannot explain the last one except, well, anyway, Tylenol kids, maybe.
Tylenol Americans, yeah.
But I will say that, like, this is, I do think that there is a certain element to the libertarian movement that is just a spirit of contrarianism. And so I think
it's not real ideology. It's just reflexively anti-whatever.
Right. And so I think that is part of the issue. And the thing is that we, remember way back when, to the whole uproar about the text leak with the young Republicans? That's been a long time ago, right? I mean, there were a lot of people who were upset that, first of all, that was leaked because they didn't think it had been leaked. But then they thought, oh, people, free speech, you can say what you want to say. But then people who legitimately thought that this needed to be criticized and that it needed to be made unacceptable, and I was one of those, felt that way for this specific reason, because we knew it wasn't just jokes, because we've been seeing it for too long, and that this was an actually significant problem in the conservative and liberty movement. And so what we've seen since then, and this has really been revealed through this stuff with Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and how Heritage responded to that, and I think the crossroads that we are at is that we have so many young people, and particularly young men, who have gotten sucked into this and find themselves taking the stance. And they are not just like online. They are in elected officials' offices. They are in think tanks. They are in the party. So the question is, how do we, keep those people and give grace for redemption and time for change and growth, while also saying this is unacceptable and we're not going to do it? And I think that that's where, and Ben Shapiro talked about that a little bit too, is that, I think what, Kevin Roberts was trying to say with his whole thing was like, he wanted to still include them because, you've got to give them room to change. But that is that's not the answer. You don't invite them in. You say, you excise it, you cut it out, you cut the cancer out. Now, if they want to get rid of it and say, and decide to change, that's one thing. We welcome you in, but that ideology is not welcome in this big tent, because
why are you trying to cancel people, Camellia? Why are you trying to cancel people? Oh, you are. You're canceled.
Yes,
She's a cancel culture queen. She's trying to cancel people.
I've seen a few different people, not a lot of people, I guess, but a few different people say this over the last couple of days and make the analogy that, the right is susceptible to what happened with the left. Where there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of decades about how that many Democrats were left behind by their party as it became more and more progressive. And this is what will happen on the right, because the left bowed to their extreme fringe elements, and that's what became the party, and that's what we are working with now. And so there are and so the blue dog Democrats got left behind. So where do we go on the right if we let our fringe elements take over the mainstream movement?
Absolutely correct, Camellia Peterson, as usual. Everybody give it up for Camellia, because no, you're absolutely right. The funny thing is, if you talk about cancel culture, they'll say the same people who spend all of their time attacking people like Ben Shapiro or myself or others for our various views in the Middle East will then come out and say loudly whenever we fight back that, oh, no, enemies on the right. You shouldn't be spending all your time. Like Matt Walsh, who's been very sort of disturbingly Groyper adjacent these days. Yeah,
it's what's going on?
It's what the hell do you even stand for anymore, Matt Walsh? So it's a shame. But, I think that the silver lining is what you've already mentioned, which is that the people on the right actually have the balls to confront the 80 IQ people in their ranks and say, listen, if you want to be in a coalition on the right, you have to be in the back room running for licking stamps, because we're not running you in any of you for office. If there's no enemies to the right, then you have to wear the retard helmet, and you have to sit and you have to wear the dunce cap, and you have to keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, get out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that I had someone here in Missouri call me yesterday morning after all this was coming out, really upset and depressed by, what things look like. And I told her, I was like, look, I think we need to give it a week because I think that Heritage is trying to figure out what in the world they're going to do with this, because they put themselves in a very bad spot. And, you know, the rumor is that Kevin Roberts, you know, wasn't fully aware of all of the context around a lot of these things, and which also goes to show that you need to be aware before you just say things off the handle like that. But I think that we need to give some time for this to flesh out. And I am encouraged by the fact that so many on the right came out and vehemently pushed back against that. And that is encouraging. And we're all establishment now, but what are you going to do?
Camellia, we've covered so many things this morning. Today is election day in many states. And I know a lot of people are out there busy. Are you tracking any races? I'm kind of interested in the Virginia governor's race. Yeah. I know it's a long shot because Winsome Sears is looking like she's down in the polls, but God bless it. Wouldn't it be amazing if she actually won out there? There are some good people doing good things. You know, we always focus on the Nazi retards, yeah. But then you got people like Winsome Sears who are like true American patriots doing good work. And God, I hope she wins. Don't you?
I do too. I love her, and I just, you know, it's a shame if Virginia squanders this opportunity, that it will be a real shame, and she should move to another state and run for some other things or something.
No kidding. Come to Missouri, please. We'd love to have you as a governor. Missouri would elect her in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would think so.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to share before we let you go?
I will just say for Missourians anyway, it's different and not everybody has something on their ballot locally, but some of you do. And some of you have tax increases on your ballot. So if you're not sure, why jump online to your county clerk's website and see if you have something on the ballot locally today. And if it's a tax increase, be sure to go out and vote no against it.
It is tax increase, and I'm going out and I'm voting no. Camellia, thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Of those, 385 attacks were targeted against Christians, resulting in 317 deaths. But in the same period, there were 417 deaths among Muslims in 196 attacks.
I don't think you can minimize this, Abby.
No.
There's been about 100,000, upwards of 100,000 since 2009.
Hold on a second.
7,000 this year.
Hold on a second, Scott. Hold on a second, Scott. I'm not minimizing. Just because I'm putting facts on the table doesn't mean that I'm minimizing the deaths of anyone.
She's both sizing it.
I am. No, it's not called both sizing it. It's called information.
Okay.
Information is okay to consume. Like, it's fine to say that it is both bad that Christians are being killed, and also it is bad that Muslims are being killed. Are you able to say that?
Here's what I'm able to say. Upwards of 100,000 Christians in Nigeria have been slaughtered. It is a genocide. The same people who are worried about the Middle East have nothing to say about this.
Scott,
there's
just 1 second.
7,000 deaths this year,
hold on
35 per day.
Scott,
it's awful.
Hold on a second. Of those, 385 attacks were targeted against.
They can't let him talk. They can't. The more he talks, the more they freak out. This clip, too, also had me laughing.
The entire reason the government is not open right now is because Democrats refuse to be complicit in having millions of Americans, including 100,000 in Kentucky, your home state, if I'm remembering correctly, Scott, that rely on ACA, that would see their premiums rise several
which you can deal with separately. It doesn't have to be, those two things do not go together.
But the way that they're doing this right now, they're combining both.
Voting to support the budget still doesn't, if you keeping it closed doesn't fix the ACA. The ACA needs to be reformed. Healthcare needs to be reformed. This is a way bigger question.
You guys failed at that last time. The whole thing was repeal and replace. You had a trifecta. You tried this. You failed.
Yeah, that's not true. They're still in the concept of a plan stage.
No, in terms of
they've been in
repealing
the concept stage since 2000.
But David, you would admit that the ACA was a Democrat legislation, yes? And you would admit that the subsidies that we're talking about now were passed by Democrats, yes. And you would admit that the sunset provision in the subsidies, which comes up at the end of the year, was in place because of Democrats, yes. Now you want to make it a Republican problem. These are not the same issues. You could open the government today, and then you could negotiate with with Republicans about ACA. So, and by the way, my suspicion is, and you know this, there are probably, and I know there are some House Republicans that would love to negotiate on it, but under duress, under a hostage-taking situation, connecting disconnected issues, and now you're throwing SNAP onto it. You're throwing all the federal workers who aren't being paid onto it, all because of this fight that you wandered into because of your wing of the Democratic Party. You all led to this SNAP crisis. You all led to this crisis of the government being closed, and you don't know how to get out of it.
That's so good. So good. All right, you guys, you've unlocked the bonus content. Enjoy it. I'm going to put the room code out. So that you guys can play the game at the end of the show. But enjoy the bonus content. When we get back, they're asking for white models. They want Caucasians in their fashion magazines again. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show's For Liberty Network.
New Yorkers, listen closely. We stand at a critical juncture, facing a political choice that could fundamentally reshape our city for the worse. The promises of free services and radical economic overhauls might sound appealing, but they carry a hidden cost, a cost that could dismantle the very fabric of our vibrant, dynamic metropolis. This isn't just about policy, it's about the soul of New York. In most elections, we grapple with imperfect options, but New York, ever the exception, presents us with a truly alarming scenario. Beyond the usual political fray, we face a stark choice between candidates whose visions range from the questionable to the outright dangerous. Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee, is poised for victory. His ascent isn't just another political win. It's a potential harbinger of policies that have historically failed, threatening to drag our city into an era of economic stagnation and diminished opportunity. Mamdani's platform is a familiar tune for those wary of socialist experiments. He proposes free buses and daycare, city-owned grocery stores, and a sweeping rent freeze. These aren't innovative solutions. They are expensive, proven failures that have crippled economies and stifled innovation wherever they've been tried. Consider the economic reality. Free services are never truly free. They are paid for by taxpayers, often through crippling tax hikes that drive businesses and high earners away. This exodus starves the city of vital revenue, leading to a downward spiral of reduced services and decaying infrastructure. One of Mamdani's most alarming proposals is a widespread rent freeze. While seemingly designed to help tenants, history shows this policy backfires spectacularly. It disincentivizes landlords from maintaining properties, halts new construction, and ultimately exacerbates housing shortages. New York already faces a severe housing drought. Freezing rents will only make it worse, turning the hunt for an affordable apartment into an impossible quest. Who will invest in building new homes when their ability to recoup costs is arbitrarily capped? The idea of city-owned grocery stores might sound like a solution to food deserts, but it's a dangerous illusion. Government-run businesses are notoriously inefficient, lacking the competitive drive and innovation that private enterprises bring. They often lead to higher costs, limited choices, and substandard service. We've seen this play out in countless cities and countries. Do we truly believe New York City, with its complex bureaucracy, can run a grocery chain more effectively than the private sector? The evidence suggests otherwise, pointing to a future of empty shelves and frustrated residents. Mamdani's plan to jack up taxes on the ultra-rich is another policy fraught with peril. While it may appeal to some, the reality is that New York's prosperity relies heavily on its financial sector and high-earning professionals. Punitive taxes don't just redistribute wealth, they often redistribute wealth out of the city. These policies risk driving away the very individuals and businesses that create jobs, fund our cultural institutions, and contribute significantly to our tax base. The result? A shrinking economy, fewer opportunities, and a city less able to provide for its citizens. The implications of Mamdani's potential victory extend far beyond our city limits. A landslide win for such a radical platform could embolden similar movements nationally, pushing the Democratic Party further towards populist identity politics and economically unsound policies. This isn't just a local election, it's a bellwether. The choices we make here in New York could send a powerful and potentially damaging message across the country about the viability of these extreme ideologies. New York has a storied history of resilience, but also of political mismanagement. We've seen cycles where bums or buffoons have led the city to the brink, only for strong, pragmatic leadership to pull us back. We are currently in a period that echoes past declines. Mamdani's proposals, far from being novel, are echoes of past failures. They ignore the lessons learned from the city's near bankruptcy in the 1970s, when excessive spending and unsustainable promises almost brought New York to its knees. We cannot afford to repeat these mistakes. Beyond the direct economic impact, Mamdani's agenda threatens the very spirit of New York. His desire to eliminate gifted and talented programs and entrance exam schools undermines meritocracy and limits opportunities for ambitious students, particularly those from less privileged backgrounds. This isn't just about money, it's about the future of our children and the quality of our education system. We must ask ourselves, do we want a city that rewards striving and excellence, or one that levels down to the lowest common denominator? New Yorkers, this is a warning. The path Mamdani proposes is not a progressive vision. It is a regressive one that risks undoing decades of progress and prosperity. We cannot afford to be complacent. Educate yourselves on the true costs of these policies. Engage in the political process. Demand accountability from your elected officials. Speak out against policies that threaten our economic stability, our housing market, and our children's future. Your voice matters. Let's ensure New York remains a beacon of opportunity, not a cautionary tale of socialist overreach.
One Versace fall show. All right, guys, it's time to shift gears from politics and policy to culture. Sometimes culture tells you more about where a civilization is heading than any election ever could. So you probably didn't see this, and you probably didn't realize it yet. You're going to hear this for the first time on the Wake Up America. Look at that, Cindy Crawford. So scrumptious. Oh my God, I had such a crush as a young man. So fashion is starting to walk back one of the biggest social experiments of the last decade, and that is the diversity mandate. Yeah, they're going back to 1991, what you see on your screen, essentially. And this is not gossip. This is straight from Le Monde. This is a French newspaper. They report that major fashion houses are, quote, openly asking for Caucasian models again, which it's kind of funny that is sort of like scandalous. Where have we gotten to as a culture that asking for white girls to be your models is a scandal? This is from Le Monde. Openly asking for Caucasian models. Openly asking. And they say openly, like, again, it's a scandalous thing to do, to ask. If you wanted to have a young lady like the one you see on your screen right now, that is quite a scandal. So listen to this. So the fall and winter 2025 and 2026 shows, out of 8,703 runway looks, 97% were size 32, 34, or 36. So that is the European equivalent of size 0, 2, or 4. So meanwhile, over at Vogue Business, they found that the spring and summer 2026 shows, 97% of all looks were straight size, less than 1% plus size representation. So here in America, Reuters is reporting that big retailers like Target, Walmart, Amazon have started scaling back their DEI programs. They're not bragging about it, but they are doing it. So one executive actually flat out told them, this is from Reuters, we can't afford the activism anymore. Can you believe this? The market is doing more than politics ever could. So what is going on? So here's the reality. The economy has cooled. The investors get restless when they're not getting their incredible returns on sales. And so the inclusivity bubble has popped. It's not racism making a comeback, as some people would like to paint it as. It's economics doing what it always does, punishing inefficiency. The DEI era told companies to spend money on identity points instead of value. But of course, when the markets get tough, symbolism is the first thing to go. So let's call it this what it is. This is a market correction in a moral costume. So fashion tried to be a church, and they wanted to preach repentance for your privilege, and it turns out that you can't tithe your way to profit. We're seeing similar things playing out in the high school and college cheerleading competitions going on around the country, and in professional cheerleading, which have become the front lines for the gender wars. Whether or not gay dudes wearing skirts are going to get out in front of men on football fields and prance around like cheerleaders. These are the front lines of culture. You may ask yourself, Austin, you had all these conversations about EBT and SNAP and economics and about marriage and life and dating and all these important topics. Why would you choose to do a topic like this? You just want to show lots of beautiful women on your show and hopefully get more ratings. Well, not just that I want more people to watch my show and get good ratings, but I think people just don't understand how important our clothing is and what it says about us as a society. This is what defines us as a culture, what we find beautiful, what we find attractive, and it does change over periods. We have had different standards throughout history of what was considered beautiful, what was not considered beautiful. Tan skin is in, porcelain skin is in, being a little chubby, a little curvy. Of course, everybody has different wants and desires on their own. But the heart wants what it wants. Markets are honest. They tell us where the lies are through the virtue signal. You can virtue signal all you want, but the cash register, the ka-ching, ka-ching, is the ultimate truth-telling device. When people stop buying the moral sermon from the left ends, the free market doesn't care about whether or not you put a black, in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, you put a black profile pic on your Facebook page. It cares about whether or not you made a good product. And standards exist for a reason. For decades, the left has been telling us that the very idea of beauty standards was oppressive. But here's the truth. Every society has standards, even the ones that pretend that they don't have standards. You can't erase standards. You can only change who gets to set the standards. And of course, assimilation beats tokenism. So look at the Italian-American designers who built this industry. Versace, Armani, Dolce & Gabbana. They didn't build brands by demanding quotas of diversity quotas for their models. They just built excellence, and they looked at what would be the most beautiful design that would attract the most amount of attention and eyes to my product that I am trying to sell for an exorbitant amount of money. All right? They integrated into Western capitalism, these Italian-American designers, and they added flair and they added beauty to our society. Look, this is a fashion show from 1991. Most of the time, whenever you guys, if you see fashion shows, if they parade them out on Fox News or wherever, the very few times that you might see a fashion show, they'll usually show you the freak show, the weirds. I'm showing you here fashion at, I won't say necessarily its peak, but this is 1991, what you're looking at right now. And first of all, obviously the women are beautiful, stunning, iconic beauty. But look at the outfits. Boy, that was risque right there. But these are clothes and outfits that you would expect a girl that you would walk by in the street in New York City to see. If you saw a woman wearing something like that, you're in a fancy neighborhood, right? That is a woman with class. That is a woman with taste. And they're not just wearing something to try and offend your sights and your sensibilities. These are people who are making statements. This is our culture. When people ask you about what is culture, religion, yes. Right? Our art, yes. Our fashion, absolutely. This is our culture, Italian-American culture. And these Italian-Americans, immigrants, Versace, Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, they brought their best. They brought their best to the United States, and they earned their place here. Le Monde, that's the French newspaper I found this article from, reported that plus-size models' bookings have collapsed. plus-sized bookings have collapsed. Incomes down tenfold in 5 years. One agent said they want us to be big, but without any fat. So you could be a big woman, you just can't be a fat woman. That's what the agents are saying. So think about that. Think about that. That's a direct quote. Big without any fat. Right? It's the entire Western crisis in one sentence. The illusion of substance without reality. The pretense of inclusion without cost. See, the woke world demands optics that physics can't deliver. Look at that beautiful, gorgeous. Leather pants are leather pants, but when the money runs dry, the truth is still sitting there waiting for us to accept it. And this isn't just Paris, right? In the United States, website Refinery29 says that plus-size representation on runways dropped below 1% in 2025. This is after nearly a decade of body positivity campaigns, brand pledges, and Instagram crusades. So after years of lecturing the public that representation is everything, what did the industry do? It fired its own prophets. And now, the same influencers who cheered the new era of inclusivity are fuming online. Look at her. Look at that woman. A white Caucasian woman, skinny, pretty, dressed to the nines, killing it. You better work, cover girl. Here you have a Moulignon. I'm just kidding. Little Tony Soprano. Here's the punchline. It was never a revolution. It was always a marketing campaign. The West used to export beauty. Now we just export guilt. For centuries, Western art celebrated proportion, discipline. Remember, it was the discipline that these women had to bring themselves into the... Do they have fantastic genetics? Sure. But they also have discipline, right? What are they eating for dinner that night? Broccoli, no cheese. Maybe some boiled chicken. But it's more likely that they're probably just eating a cigarette and vodka. So. Wow, that's great. That's very like Anita West Side Story there. So it's not regression that's happening, right? This is gravity, right? You can ignore reality, but you can't repeal it. And I think this is where we can kind of laugh for a little bit, because for years we were told that we don't understand culture. Right, we're not progressive enough, and yet here we are. It's the progressive that are rediscovering form, standards, beauty. And now they're going to pretend, just watch, they're going to pretend that it's a rebellion, that they are asking for white, thin, pretty models. Because you know what they want to do? They want to sell clothes. They don't care. They just want to sell clothes. If we had another Cindy Crawford today, they would be booking her like crazy. Being a model is ridiculously difficult, Kermode Berry. Yes, it is. I know quite well. I did modeling for years, and I will say it was hard, and I hated it, and everything is about your body. They're looking at every single nook and cranny, every crack and crevice of your body is being examined. I went in for a photo shoot one day. This was a long time ago. Austin used to be a good-looking dude. But I went in for a photo shoot one day, and the photographer was like, "You're too skinny." I was too skinny, if you could say that now. Here I am, 240 pounds. Now, I was so skinny that they didn't think that I looked like muscly enough for as skinny as I was. Like, mind you, I had lost a lot of weight so I could finally start booking jobs. And I start booking jobs, and they're saying I was too skinny. So the photographer before the shoot was like, "Austin, you need to be doing push-ups." But probably the greatest shoot that I ever did was on behalf of Microsoft. So Time Magazine did a photo spread, and I was lucky enough to get cast in it. And sure enough, they cast me as like the smarmy, smug salesman kind of guy who works at the tech company. It's true. It's true. This is all true. And we went to the Whitney Museum in New York City. It was probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And they had built these gigantic servers, what looked like servers, inside of the museum. And then they would take cranes, like the apple picking cranes or whatever, and they would take the models and they would put the models up onto the servers that they had built into this museum. And then me, in my younger, more handsome days, I'm wearing a pinstripe 3-piece suit. Everybody else is nerds, and I'm kind of like the guy standing right in the middle like this. It was epic, guys. Somewhere that photograph still exists, I'm sure. And I'm just standing there right in the middle. Everybody else is kind of like just standing there looking kind of nerdy, and I'm like Captain America. They're like like standing there right in the middle, just posing like a big old jackass. But they liked it, so they published it because it was all about a tech company and the people who are in the tech company. And I'm like the salesman, so the salesman is always like the smarmy, smug guy, right? So it was. I will say one of the greatest days of my life. I've had a lot of great days in my life, but it was probably, I don't know, definitely top 100, maybe top 50 days of my life. One of the most fascinating experiences: creating culture, creating art in service of advertising. And I know a lot of people these days, they hate advertising. I think advertising gets a bad rap because the truth is that there are a lot of great products out there that make our lives better. I'm not anti-consumerist. I'm pro-capitalist. There are a lot of great products out there that make our lives better. And when you've got a fresh outfit and you're looking fine, you feel better about yourself. Am I wrong? You tell me right now, ladies, if you were wearing that, if you look like that right now and you were wearing that outfit right now or go on that catwalk, wouldn't you feel like $1 million? Yeah, you would. I think we all would. We all want to look nice. We all want to feel good about ourselves. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We need to stop feeling shame for being beautiful or for trying to be beautiful. We need to stop shaming the beautiful in the society, especially when they're young, pretty white girls. So this may not seem like an important topic to a lot of people, but it is an important topic to a lot of people outside of our bubble. It is American culture, and it's important for us to stand strong on it and defend it. And I will. I'll take the risks and all the slings and arrows of defending the beautiful, sexy young supermodels. I will be, hold on, where is it? Wait. Here it is. I will be the Robert California and take one for the team. That's me, guys. That's me. I will be mentoring these young white supermodels, these poor girls, seeing them right through college. It's time, guys, for the Great Grift Off Live. Who wants to play the game, huh? All right. So the Great Grift Off Liberty Loot Live, it's our game show. Everybody who's made a contribution should have sent a text message in by now to Brad so that we can play the game. We've got a great game for you all today that we're going to play. Today we're going to play a little Scrabble. I've got 3 players so far, but Brad says he sent out the text messages to everybody. So if you haven't gotten your code and gotten in, you're about to miss the game. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. We're going to hit the Squid Game countdown button. And once we hit the Squid Game countdown button, that means that you've got 30 seconds to get your butt in here at crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. So get in here if you want to play the game. You've got 30 seconds to log in to crowdparty.app if you've made a contribution so that you guys can play a little Scrabble day. The winner at the end is going to win something nice from the Liberty Shop. Whoa, here we go. 30 seconds to get your code. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, 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 oh. And we are closed. Let's play a little Scrabble. What do you say, guys? The winner of this one is going to win a great prize from the shop. What's the slang word for cool that starts with a D? Ding, 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 ding. What's a word for when a word is made from the first letters of other words, like NASA? What's a word with 3 consecutive double letters? Bookkeeper. Siggy's mom, she's got it going on. Matching pairs. Match them up. What's the only English word that ends in MT? Drew Van Runkle feeling strong, but he's got somebody right on his tail. Which word is famously hard to spell and means a violent coastal storm? Tsunami. We're on round 6 of 12 with Drew Van Runkle in the lead. Siggy's mom, number 2. Andy at number 3. What do you call a word that's spelled the same as it sounds? Oh, Siggy's coming back. What is the opposite of synonym? Bless me. Drew Van Runkle, Siggy's mom, she's really fading. Oh, see, this is where it could all flip. In a moment's notice, you thought you had a winner. Oh, Drew retained his lead. Siggy's close, though. What's the word for when two words are stuck together, like snowman? Siggy's mom, she's still got a chance to win. If not, it's going to be Drew again. That Tylenol American. Compound, yes. Compound me. This is it, last round. What is a 7-letter word that can mean both gift and current moment? This is it. Winner is Drew Van Runkle. Congratulations, Drew. We'll send you your prize in a text message. But here's your prize from yesterday. If your business is running slow, if your server's acting up, or you haven't updated your network security since the last millennium, stop stressing, guys. Call Drew at Layer 8 Technology. Drew specializes in network support, IT consulting, server virtualization, voice over IP business phone systems, and full-scale security. Whether you're a small or medium-sized business, they bring big business IT reliability without the big business budget. Visit Layer 8 Tech. Schedule your free consultation and let Layer 8 Technology handle the tech so that you can focus on growing your business. Go to Layer 8 Tech at layer8tech.com, and Drew Van Runkle will say hello. Have a wonderful day, guys. We'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
New Yorkers, listen closely. We stand at a critical juncture, facing a political choice that could fundamentally reshape our city for the worse. The promises of free services and radical economic overhauls might sound appealing, but they carry a hidden cost, a cost that could dismantle the very fabric of our vibrant, dynamic metropolis. This isn't just about policy, it's about the soul of New York. In most elections, we grapple with imperfect options, but New York, ever the exception, presents us with a truly alarming scenario. Beyond the usual political fray, we face a stark choice between candidates whose visions range from the questionable to the outright dangerous. Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee, is poised for victory. His ascent isn't just another political win. It's a potential harbinger of policies that have historically failed, threatening to drag our city into an era of economic stagnation and diminished opportunity. Mamdani's platform is a familiar tune for those wary of socialist experiments. He proposes free buses and daycare, city-owned grocery stores, and a sweeping rent freeze. These aren't innovative solutions. They are expensive, proven failures that have crippled economies and stifled innovation wherever they've been tried. Consider the economic reality. Free services are never truly free. They are paid for by taxpayers, often through crippling tax hikes that drive businesses and high earners away. This exodus starves the city of vital revenue, leading to a downward spiral of reduced services and decaying infrastructure. One of Mamdani's most alarming proposals is a widespread rent freeze. While seemingly designed to help tenants, history shows this policy backfires spectacularly. It disincentivizes landlords from maintaining properties, halts new construction, and ultimately exacerbates housing shortages. New York already faces a severe housing drought. Freezing rents will only make it worse, turning the hunt for an affordable apartment into an impossible quest. Who will invest in building new homes when their ability to recoup costs is arbitrarily capped? The idea of city-owned grocery stores might sound like a solution to food deserts, but it's a dangerous illusion. Government-run businesses are notoriously inefficient, lacking the competitive drive and innovation that private enterprises bring. They often lead to higher costs, limited choices, and substandard service. We've seen this play out in countless cities and countries. Do we truly believe New York City, with its complex bureaucracy, can run a grocery chain more effectively than the private sector? The evidence suggests otherwise, pointing to a future of empty shelves and frustrated residents. Mamdani's plan to jack up taxes on the ultra-rich is another policy fraught with peril. While it may appeal to some, the reality is that New York's prosperity relies heavily on its financial sector and high-earning professionals. Punitive taxes don't just redistribute wealth, they often redistribute wealth out of the city. These policies risk driving away the very individuals and businesses that create jobs, fund our cultural institutions, and contribute significantly to our tax base. The result? A shrinking economy, fewer opportunities, and a city less able to provide for its citizens. The implications of Mamdani's potential victory extend far beyond our city limits. A landslide win for such a radical platform could embolden similar movements nationally, pushing the Democratic Party further towards populist identity politics and economically unsound policies. This isn't just a local election, it's a bellwether. The choices we make here in New York could send a powerful and potentially damaging message across the country about the viability of these extreme ideologies. New York has a storied history of resilience, but also of political mismanagement. We've seen cycles where bums or buffoons have led the city to the brink, only for strong, pragmatic leadership to pull us back. We are currently in a period that echoes past declines. Mamdani's proposals, far from being novel, are echoes of past failures. They ignore the lessons learned from the city's near bankruptcy in the 1970s, when excessive spending and unsustainable promises almost brought New York to its knees. We cannot afford to repeat these mistakes. Beyond the direct economic impact, Mamdani's agenda threatens the very spirit of New York. His desire to eliminate gifted and talented programs and entrance exam schools undermines meritocracy and limits opportunities for ambitious students, particularly those from less privileged backgrounds. This isn't just about money, it's about the future of our children and the quality of our education system. We must ask ourselves, do we want a city that rewards striving and excellence, or one that levels down to the lowest common denominator? New Yorkers, this is a warning. The path Mamdani proposes is not a progressive vision. It is a regressive one that risks undoing decades of progress and prosperity. We cannot afford to be complacent. Educate yourselves on the true costs of these policies. Engage in the political process. Demand accountability from your elected officials. Speak out against policies that threaten our economic stability, our housing market, and our children's future. Your voice matters. Let's ensure